well, this is just another service, or we're doing this, or we're doing that. I can tell you that this is an impactful program. I know I have a specific person that has been a client of Lead here in the Dalles, and she was a problem. The Dalles City Police was getting 10 to 15 calls on her every day, and we got her connected to Lead and everything like that. Now, while she didn't have to go to treatment or anything like that, it was a houseless thing for her, in particularly, right? With the myriad of other things, there's some mental health stuff there. There was, all that, or just regular health issues, those types of things. That connection is built. She has zero contact with law enforcement now, unless it's an intermittent contact with something else. Matter of fact, I saw her the other day, and she was waving at me. I wrote my woman down. I said hi to her. And she she called me by my first name.
Great.
And she's very considerate and thankful for what the Lead program had done for her.
Welcome to the CCCNews Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Peterson, and today we're diving into a new program that may change policing of low-level or property-related crimes here in the Mid-Columbia. In short, keeping people out of jail where there are better alternatives. Today we have with us Wasco County third-term Sheriff Lane Magill. Thanks for coming, Lane. You bet. And Hood River County DA Matthew Ellis, who also served here at the Wasco County District Attorney as well. Thanks for coming.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
All right. Excellent. And then Rebecca Schilling, who I just got to meet today. Thank you for coming. She's a criminologist and a project manager for this new program. Thanks for coming.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
You got it. And Nick Smallmon, who I just got to meet this morning as well. He is a lead navigator with the program. And let's dive right into it. Earlier this morning, we chatted for a second, and you said essentially this was a good way to address recidivism for kind of lower level crimes, or poverty related type crimes and that kind of thing. But I'll throw it out to you, Rebecca. Can you tell us a little bit about what the LEAD program is and maybe where it came from?
So the LEAD program originated in Seattle, Washington. It launched back in 2011. It is a public safety model that, like you were stating, addresses livability crimes. And the goal of it is to connect people that are in some sort of state of instability, such as experiencing mental health issues, substance use disorder, or homelessness, and connecting them to the services that they need rather than them going through the traditional criminal justice process.
Okay.
I'd like to let them elaborate on it a little bit.
Well, that's a natural throw over to you, Matt. So, you are dealing with folks who are on the other side of the law at some point or other, and so what is this program? How do you see it affecting the folks that you're having to either prosecute or deal with in the criminal justice system?
Sure, and I can bring my experience from both being the district attorney, and I was also a long-time public defender as well. So I represented a lot of the people that would come into the LEAD program. And from my experience, that a lot of these low-level crimes that we almost are essentially nuisance types crimes that kind of affect the livability of our community. Yeah. The criminal justice system is just not really built to deal with that, because it's more dealt to deal with punishment for these types of crimes. And the reality is that these crimes a lot of times are based on people's not having their lowest level needs met. And then if you get those low level needs met, such as housing, food, like a consistent source of a meal, that you see, once those level needs are met, then folks can focus on the moderate to higher level needs, and the criminality just kind of it diminishes or outright stops once you get some of those needs met. So what LEAD will do is it helps get those people in touch with services, might help them get a sandwich one day so they can have a meal, might get them involved in a treatment program once they want to get to that point. Yeah. And then that's just a natural progression to try to prevent criminality from stopping.
Yeah. Could you guys give us some examples of some of the crimes we're talking about? Is it like trespassing, or what are we?
So we're talking about trespass, minor, low-level thefts, like the theft 2s, theft 3s, the misdemeanor thefts that we might see from some of our local stores or shopping stores.
So shoplifting kind of thing.
Yeah, and the ones that don't rise to felony level,
Right.
Low level drug offenses, just possession of like small amounts of drugs, disorderly conducts that we see with when someone's just like they have mental health issues,
Yeah.
they might be self-medicating.
Okay.
And they're on the houseless on the streets. So
Right.
those types of crimes are the ones that we're looking at.
So
Yeah.
that's why I was categorizing them as livability crimes. So,
Okay.
Someone commits theft because they're hungry, they have no food or access to food.
All right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so these are things, Sheriff, that we see a lot of times repeating themselves. Right. Folks are caught for one thing, either go to jail or do a probation of some sort, and then maybe caught again for the same crime or a similar crime. And what is this program is intended maybe to provide an off ramp for that kind of behavior, or can you talk to me a little bit about that?
That's an off ramp's a really good way. I mean, it's really what we're doing is we're diverting individuals from the criminal justice system. That's the ultimate goal of the LEAD program.
Okay.
Because what we found is when we find individuals that create these livability crimes and things like that, and they end up going to jail, the recidivism rates are really, really high because it's just a constant circle of offenses. And this is to get them from out of that, that cycle, so to speak.
Yeah.
The intention from a law enforcement standpoint is we found it over and over, and Matt can talk about this as well. We did a frequent utilizer study at Norcor when you started looking at low-level crimes and things like that as it relates to drug use, and particularly that's what this program is designed around.
Yeah.
That recidivism rate is extremely high, and it just gets worse when we incarcerate those individuals. So being able to capture those individuals out on the street before they are, when they're having some law enforcement contacts or no law enforcement contacts, and getting them diverted before we ever get to that point of them entering the criminal justice system. However, the program's really designed, its benefit for us as well as individuals that are coming out of the jail that may qualify for the program, we can still get them in the program. Doesn't mean you just capture them before.
Right.
We always want to do that because it's just better for the system as a whole. However, if they are incarcerated, but they do meet the requirements of being in the LEAD program, we can get them in the LEAD as we're exiting it out, so we don't see recidivism. That's the hope. So
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so it's a voluntary program. And well, Nick, I think that's kind of where you kind of come in too, right? As a navigation lead, you're out meeting people where they're at.
And that is correct. Yeah, I typically consider I do a lot of outreach. So I'm in the homeless camp, so I'm out in areas, here specifically in the Dalles, like where they do the free breakfast and stuff that people are dealing with the houseless issues or the low-level thefts. I get a lot of phone calls from community partners, law enforcement, or just being out at outreach. I make contact and connection with people out there. I have lived experience, and so it's just like connecting with them on their level, humanizing them, giving them an idea that there is a different path rather than just living in this cycle of consistent, one thing after another, in and out of jail. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I don't have anybody to advocate for me. As we all know as human beings, like sitting in line at the DMV or, being online to get a birth certificate, like, we're talking hours time, like the patience, is not there. So being able to sit with somebody and do those things with them, I typically have a lot of, basic necessity needs in my vehicle. I have food, I have water. You'd be surprised at how just a glass of water and a granola bar will just really mellow people out. It's a great program, like I wish that when I was out there doing my thing that I had something like this and somebody to kind of.
So you in your history you were houseless maybe at some point.
Yep,
Okay.
I've been houseless, addicted to drugs, in and out of the criminal justice system. I spent many days, probably years, in Norcor, one after another. I grew up in Umatilla County, so I have a lot of that experience, not only with going into and doing things to better, but I also have a support system for myself to keep me on track, so that's, part of my recovery is continuing to do those things so that I stay on track as well.
Yeah. So Rebecca, we were discussing a little bit earlier too, is this program can kind of fill in some of those gaps. So say maybe somebody is getting the medication they need for a mental health issue or something like that, but maybe they don't have a permanent place to stay, or they don't have the food and that kind of thing. And so is that what Lead is kind of providing in a sense? Are they kind of is it providing some of those necessities for maintaining stability, I guess, lack of a better word?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say that we're providing it because we're not a provider.
Okay.
We are, like as we were explaining before in our previous conversation, is that we're more functioning like the middleman that connects them to those services. We've learned what their needs are and what their goals are, and then we help guide them there and connect them to those services. And that could be anything from basic needs like food or getting connected with health insurance, getting set up with a primary care physician, mental health therapy, substance use disorder treatment, whatever it is they may need, we will work getting them connected to.
Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So utilizing the social services network that already exists, and you're kind of that middle person, like you're saying, that can connect them with whatever service they may need. Or
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We actually collaborate with many community partners throughout Hood River and Wasco County, as well as all the law enforcement agencies around here.
yeah. So agencies like MCAC or that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, which is the Mid Columbia Center for or Community Action Council.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Council.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a long name.
Yeah,
Long
very,
name.
very good. Tell me a little bit about, Sheriff, you were telling me that you partnered with Hood River County on this program, and the funding kind of got set up through Measure 110.
Yeah, this was
previously.
it actually come through House Bill 4002. The funding stream did.
Okay.
4002 was the fix for Measure 110 because we know that there was difficulties with that.
Right.
So when 4002 came out, counties had an opportunity to sign on for this diversion deflection program. And our county, we made application for it. Hood River County made application for it, along with a number of other counties around the state. The allocation then was $150,000 per county, and it was based on a formula and different things like that. I won't get into that because it's pretty complex. It's another podcast, quite frankly, because it has to do with government money.
Yeah.
But we were allocated $150,000, and Hood River County was awarded $150,000. But one of the things that Sheriff English and I realized really quick is that we can't fund this at $150,000. It's just not going to work. By the time you pay for the staff that for Rebecca and Nick, as well as the supplies and the different things that we need. So Sheriff English and I worked with the Criminal Justice Commission, who administered the grant process, and asked if we could collaborate together and basically be a consortium. And Hood River, the CJC actually said, yeah, that's a great idea. We love that collaboration idea. So Hood River County Sheriff's Office actually runs the program. Matter of fact, Nick and Rebecca are employees of the Hood River County Sheriff's Office.
Okay, got it.
But what we did in Wasco County is, because they were willing to do that, we just took our money and we routed it over to Hood River County. Is how we did that.
Okay.
And then we worked on the application process and stuff like that together. So that's really the foundation of where this came from in the very beginning after 4002 was implemented.
Okay, and that makes a lot of sense because people who are housed at the local jail, Norcor, so that's all a central location. So that kind of makes a lot of sense. So you are the two staff members then of this the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion program, right?
Yep, right now we're the only two.
Okay, very good, very good. And from what I understand, you've got a website that has gone live at this time for folks to gather some more information.
Yes, we actually just launched our website, and it has a lot of helpful information on it to help the public understand what our program does and what we're about.
Okay, can you tell us what the name of that website is?
It is leadcolumbiagorge.org.
leadcolumbiagorge.org.
Yep, so lead, L-E-A-D, columbiagorge.org.
Perfect. All right. Well, excellent. Well, I've noticed as we've kind of been discussing here, we kind of keep coming back to a certain population of folks who need assistance, and it sounds like it's generally like a lot of times folks who are houseless. And this is a social situation we've had here in the Mid-Columbia ever since I've lived here, since 2002. And we saw maybe those numbers go up quite a bit at the time of the pandemic. You mentioned, Measure 110, which was the decriminalization of some specific drugs such as methamphetamine and I can't remember the others, but like fentanyl is in that category, heroin and that kind of thing. And so we did, it seemed now, I don't know the direct correlation, but it did seem like we had an uptick in folks who were houseless and maybe also either having mental health issues.
It went into effect. We didn't have the infrastructure in place to do what it wanted to accomplish. And of course, nobody saw COVID coming when that passed either.
Right.
So it was the perfect storm of having it just be an absolute disaster.
Yeah.
And 4002 was very much that fix, as Sheriff Magill was talking about.
Okay.
And we were talking about the houseless population, but 4002 was really the fix with the drug crimes. To Rebecca's credit, to both Sheriff English and Sheriff Magill's credit, we have decided to more expand that to not just be focusing on the drug crimes, because we're very unique in how we're doing implementing the LEAD program. The beauty of the LEAD program is we have assistants from Seattle doing it. At the same time, it's very flexible in the way to have it addressing your community needs, because it's obviously the Columbia Gorge area isn't Seattle,
right?
It's not Salem, where they also have done LEAD. So we were able to it's very malleable, so we can kind of
modify it
how to our needs here. But this was it was the implementation for the deflection away from having these drug crimes to try to keep these people out of the criminal justice system. But we're trying to expand it to just beyond those drug crimes, but also these livability crimes that we're seeing that don't just include drugs, but definitely that there's that overlap in that Venn diagram.
Yeah, interesting. And so when I jump into the most recent PIT count, which is a point in time. From 2025, MCAC does this with the help of a lot of volunteers, and thank you for doing it. We had 253 individuals experiencing houselessness at the point in time that they did this, I think the unsheltered number was 127 people, and that's just one point in time, but it gives you an idea of the number of folks out there who are struggling to maintain a home or have a home and that kind of thing. But I'll expand a little bit more upon that. A lot of times when we write stories about houselessness here, there's a bit of pushback, and there's some folks that have that idea that these folks don't want to work, or they aren't willing to do to fit in, I guess, if you will. But it also came very clear. We had a gentleman named Terry McDonald come here. He was the executive director of the St. Vincent de Paul down in Lane County. And he gave this whole great orientation about houselessness. And he broke it down into several categories. And one of them was this 13% or so that are houseless for over a year. And they fall into this kind of point where they're continuing to reoffend and that kind of thing. And is that what I'm trying to drive at here? Is that kind of the population? Is there a specific population you guys are honing in on, or no? Or
there is a number of individuals that we deal with on the street, that law enforcement deals with on the street, as well as Nick when he's on the street working, that are houseless. There's no two ways about that, because, like you said, the point in time was, it clearly indicates in the 2025 report between Hood River, Wasco, and Sherman County that there's a number of people in our communities are houseless.
Yeah.
However, what I will say is that we've had individuals that are actually not houseless that have been part of the program, or they were houseless, they got housing, but they're still part of the program. So I think the thing that's really important that people need to understand is LEAD's voluntary. We don't force them to do it. But the other thing too is LEAD's for anybody that needs it, that meets those qualifications of the program. So you could be an individual that lives, up by the college in your house,
Right.
and has a full-time job, but you're on that spot where you need those lead services or something like that, where you're in that, where you could potentially get into the law enforcement side of things. We've had individuals that we've reached out to in the south part of Wasco County that they're not, we're hearing about them.
Yeah.
But have they risen to the level of law enforcement contact yet? No, but Nick's reached out to them, and there's some engagement there, and that's the goal, is to do that. So, and it's not, so I think it's unfair to just classify who's doing it or who's part of the programming like that, because anybody can be a part of the program. So.
Right. Yeah, Nick, could you speak to that a little bit about the folks that you've coming into contact with?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like he was sharing about South Wasco, I mean, typically what happens, if I'm getting a referral from law enforcement, they'll give me a contact information, whether that's me rolling out with law enforcement to make connections with them or getting an address and going out there to make connections myself. It's just going, meeting them on their level, figuring out what their basic needs are, what they've got going on, could we be of service? And sometimes it's like, yeah, absolutely. I just need to be able to get in contact with somebody to get my medication. And that might be what we do. We figure out how to get them there, find transportation, whether that's us taking them or contacting, a community partner that can access those services or get them out to them. So really it could be anything, right? It could be just making those connections and getting those people exactly what they need out there. And that goes for all over Hood River and Wasco County. We're out in Parkdale. We're seeing a lot of stuff in the cities in Hood River, the Dalles. It's, I'm out here on the streets every single day with individuals, multiple.
So one example there you gave was like maybe medication, getting someone, ensuring that they're getting their medication. But what are some other things that people are needing assistance with?
Housing is big, here. I mean, stabilization is like priority for a lot of individuals out here. In order to, drugs are not even, if somebody's using drugs, like that's not even the top priority for them, because at the end of the day, they feel like doing the drugs or being around the people that they are with that are also doing them is a safe, normal behavior for them. And so typically it's stabilization. So it's hitting the ground, finding all the different community partners, like we had spoke about MCAC, making sure that they have insurance. Where are the resources at, and how can I get these individuals to that by advocating and getting it? Federal funding has been cut, and so a lot of that is, this year or last year, has made it extremely tough to find housing. And being such a small rural area, we don't have a lot of housing options here. So if somebody isn't typically, stuck here, and they may have family somewhere else, it's getting individuals in connection with their family. Do you have family somewhere else? Like having that connection, and just really basically anything they need, like that's what we're going to try to work towards, period.
Okay. Very good. Yeah. So you guys, how long have you guys been operating now?
So we've been accepting referrals for the program since March of 2025.
Okay, great. And are you guys slammed? Are you busy? Or
on the outreach side of things, extremely busy. I mean, a high percentage of Nick's time is spent on outreach work. We have received well over 60 referrals by now. I can't give you the exact number off the top of my head at the moment. We have 4 active participants, but we have like 9 open referrals, I think it was last I checked, that we're working right now. And then we have 3 that are in alumni status. So just to elaborate, what that means is, with our program, what sets it apart from other diversion programs is there isn't a graduation date and then you're just off you go, into the world. You've reached a state of stability that is something different for each individual. And once you're there and you don't really need us anymore, we'll make you an alumni, but that means the door is always open for you to come back if you need us.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
And I can tell you that what she's talking about there, what Nick's talking about, how it does work.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, you talked a little bit about it, kind of about the community response and, the chatter around the business community and things like that. It's like, well, this is just another service, or we're doing this, or we're doing that. I can tell you that this is an impactful program. I know I have a specific person that has been a client of Lead here in the Dalles, and she was a problem. The Dalles City Police was getting 10 to 15 calls on her every day, and we got her connected to Lead and everything like that. Now, while she didn't have to go to treatment or anything like that, it was a houseless thing for her, and particularly, right? With the myriad of other things, there's some mental health stuff there. There was, all that, or just regular health issues, those types of things that connection is built. She has zero contact with law enforcement now, unless it's an intermittent contact with something else. Matter of fact, I saw her the other day, and she was waving at me. I wrote my woman down. I said hi to her.
Yeah.
She called me by my first name.
Great.
And she's very considerate and thankful for what the LEAD program had done for her, right? So this program does work. And if you're reducing contacts with law enforcement that are ongoing all the time, I mean, really, 15 calls a day.
Right.
Imagine the resource that takes up through public safety.
Yeah.
If we can eliminate that, get her the services much like we did, and get her off the radar, and we can focus our time and efforts on different higher priority type situations, right? So it works, and it's impressive. And when you start looking at statistical data, like for Marion County, they've been running it down out of Salem. They've been running this LEAD program for what, I think 11 years, Matt? Is that right? Or 10 years or something?
Well, yeah, they were the first ones in Oregon to do it.
Yep.
Shortly after Seattle started it.
Yeah. They've literally got, I think, if I remember the statistics right, in the first 24 months of their program, they had a 67% success rate of getting people off the street that in houselessness, and another 70% of those were off went through treatment and different things like that, and they're no longer part of the system. I mean, so I guess what I'm getting at, Tom, is that when you provide services, focused services, and with accountability, because this isn't just a free ride for them. It's a voluntary program, but when they come into the program, there's things they have to follow. There's processes they have to go through. There's rules that they have to follow, of course, but when they get into that system and stuff, it's successful.
Right.
And these people are way better off, and we're all better off as not only as law enforcement, we're keeping them out of our jails, and we're able to focus on the hard crimes and the more serious crimes, like Matt Ellis was talking about. It's like, we're talking, felony crimes and abuse crimes and things like that. And when we're not being sucked into the vortex of a 15 call or a 20 call per day individual, right?
Right.
So, and the reality of it is those people are back and they're functioning in our communities, Now, at what level that is, who knows? It depends on where they're at in their level of recovery, maybe. But they are functioning members of our community. They're out of the criminal justice system. Some of them I know have jobs now. And you know what? I mean, when they go down and buy a gallon of milk at the Safeway store because they're not in the system anymore, they're a contributing member of our community.
Right. You pull them up above that line.
Absolutely.
The goal is not perfection.
Absolutely
no.
not.
It's a community based system where we're really just trying to help people get to the point where they are. It's like Sheriff Magill said, that they're contributing members of our community, and we're just not having to deal with them on the basis of taking resources from the sheriff's office, from the city police office, from my office, where I don't have an attorney bogged down with all these low level misdemeanor crimes where we're just not going to get any kind of real accountability out of them. So to get back to the word, prevent recidivism.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the ultimate goal. So, because we do have a lot of cases that really demand our time and attention.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we are all offices with limited resources, and we would much rather be putting those resources to our higher level crimes or disasters natural disasters that happen in the community.
Yeah.
Versus these low level nuisance crimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very good. So, I hear you that it reduces call load, it reduces caseload for you. But I would say better than that, though. It puts somebody back in a better place, right? This kind of coming from a place of getting people back up on their feet, if you will. And you probably have seen that quite a bit, both of you. Do you have any stories you can tell? Of course, no names or anything like that, but do you have some examples of what you've seen since you started this work?
Well, there is one individual that comes straight away to mind. It's very complicated because not only was he houseless and struggling with some mental health and substance use issues, he also had cases going on in 4 or 5 different counties. Mm-hmm. So that was Hooter and Wasco County and then a few others. And so what we did is we were like a legal system advocate for that person and guided them on, well, these are the things you need to do. This is when your court dates are to, get these cases cleared up with these counties. And once you get these certain things cleared up, then we can enroll you in our program fully and give you full services and get you connected to the things that you need. And so he took right off. He had a little bit of bumps in the road on the way there.
Yeah.
Everything's cleared up in all those counties now. He's on track. He has shelter. He has a job now, and
Great.
he's still part of the program while we're just making sure that he is on track to stability, and probably will be an alumni soon. I
Great.
think we've been working with him since September.
Fascinating.
To be clear, having a criminal case that's already pending is not that's not going to keep you from being able to enter lead.
Correct.
And so the referrals can come even from my office. Like, hey, I'm seeing a lot of low level crimes here, so I'll just pop myself down to Nick's office and say, like, hey, can we take a look at this person? And I've seen Nick in the courtroom quite frequently.
Yeah.
And have been had court dates where I told the judge, like, hey, can we just hold off on these cases for a little bit, just have continue. I want them to see if they can get engaged in lead, and then I can, based on their engagement of lead, I can actually resolve cases through that matter with a more favorable outcome if they're actually engaging and doing well with the program.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
so the way we can get referrals is, by law enforcement. It can even be what's also called a social contact referral from law enforcement, where there's no crime being observed, but they realize there's some services they could benefit from that lead could connect them to. We can, and like Matt was saying, we can get referrals from the DA's office. We can get referrals from community partners, and we're eventually hoping to take referrals from the public.
Right, right. And I think this will help today. I think this great explanation of the program and how it works is helpful. So like folks who are listening out there, they can obviously get on your website, get the information, and maybe help out somebody that maybe a family member or somebody like that, get a call. But
Absolutely.
I think you guys brought up a great point there, though, like having several cases in different counties. Nick, like in your experience, in your life experience, did you ever have like a FTA, a failure to appear, or anything like that, or?
Yeah, I always pretty much lived on failure to appear and warrants for my
Okay,
arrest.
and that happens a lot here. Like a lot of times, I see a lot of the arrests that occur, and they're not for a new crime necessarily. They
Right.
just they fail to appear on. Well, I guess that's a new crime.
What I'm noticing with what I'm noticing with the failure to appear, a lot of these individuals don't even know what day it is.
Yes.
Right. So if they're dealing with houselessness, substance abuse, things like that, and you book a court date for 3 weeks down the road, they don't even know if it's Thursday. There's really no perception. It's like, I know what time breakfast is. They're in survival mode, right? So it's relating with these individuals, and when we do meet, it's like we check those court dates, like, and then go and say, even if they're not a member of the lead, performing outreach with individuals. Hey, you have court today. Do you need me to go take you to court? Do we need to go grab some clothes? Do you need to go get a shower so that you feel presentable or whatever to go to
Do you
court?
need a bus pass
Yeah.
to get there?
Right.
Yep. Those kind of things. We do that stuff, and I feel like the biggest piece of the failure to appear is just not knowing what day it is
Right,
a
yeah.
lot of the time. I mean, could be, typically that's what it is. Did you know you had court today? No, I didn't.
Yeah, so let me just spin that forward. So once somebody fails to appear, there's been a hearing that's been held, obviously, right? And then so there's paperwork involved with that, I'm sure, from your office.
Oh, there's a cost to a failure to appear. Because
Yeah.
if we fail to appear, we have to put a warrant out. It goes to Sheriff McGill's or one of the other or law enforcement.
Okay.
And then if one of Sheriff McGill's deputies has to pick that person up, say they get picked up in South Wasco County, that takes their time off the street. They have to take that person to Norcor, have them booked. They may not be released that time. They might not be released the next day. But you're talking about taking hours out of law enforcement's resources on a failure to appear, which is sometimes just for minor crimes.
Right.
And whereas that
failure
deputy
to appear in a trespass.
Right.
Is that a possibility?
that we see that all the time.
Okay. So just throwing good money after bad kind of thing almost. in a sense.
Yeah. When we're putting out warrants for cases that are just low level, like B or C misdemeanors, like the person probably otherwise wouldn't do any jail time, but then they fail to appear, and then we're taking out resources from the law enforcement, also a jail bed, and it's just as you said, it's throwing good money after bad.
Yeah, but in this idea with the Leads program, the idea is, hey, to get out ahead of that, get those folks through the process. And believe me, when you have a charge hanging over your head, it's demoralizing to some degree, right? Like there is a sense of you can't move on with your life or push up until you kind of get that monkey off your back. Would you agree with that, Nick?
Yeah, I think for me, it was like, I was placed on probation, when I was really, really young and went through, juvenile into Oregon Youth Authority and then into adult stuff. And it was just like I had this constant babysitter, and I was stuck in it anyways. But that was a thing for me where it was like, if I could just get my probation off my back, I would be fine.
Yep.
But I wasn't really looking at the substance abuse piece of it. And what happened was, I wound up getting sober, and almost immediately, like, my probation tended to be less monkey on my back.
Yeah.
And it went away, so
Right.
so it's getting it to that point, right?
Yeah.
What works for who and what it takes for
Right.
each individual. So, but yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
It's just a different. I really appreciate you guys coming out, because it's a whole different dynamic or approach than we've seen maybe maybe ever. I mean, you said this is unique to Seattle. What, it started back in 2011, you said?
It was
And
unique.
so-
Yeah, the former prosecuting attorney elected Dan Satterberg was the one who started this after a meeting with a bunch of community members.
Yeah.
And it was born out of those conversations about what to keep doing with all these, law enforcement involvement in like just certain areas of Seattle. There's
Yeah.
a constant presence, and they just didn't want to keep arresting these same individuals over and over again. And so it came from that. And then I think it started out where they would you had to actually be about to be arrested, and then the officer arresting the person would say, like, well, I can either arrest you for this drug crime right now, or I can call Lead and do a warm handoff to this person. You get involved in the program. And then it evolved into, like, you don't have to commit a crime to do this. You can be, after they had an incident where, if I remember the story correctly, a person asked a law enforcement person, like, hey, I want to be involved in Lead. And they said, well, you have to commit a crime to do that. So she walked around the corner, bought a bag of heroin, came back and said, will you arrest me now so I can get involved in Lead?
That's a true story.
And so you don't have to commit a crime to be involved in Lead. And so
Okay.
I would really encourage anybody who might be listening to this that wants to be involved in the program, you can make a self-referral.
Absolutely. You absolutely can.
Very good.
And those are always the best kind. A self-referral is always the best kind, because that's a step for them in the right direction, and we're here to help them.
You were saying that earlier, Sheriff.
Yeah, we model a lot of the stuff we deal with substance use disorder, and those types of things is based on what we call sequential intercept mapping. I know that's a big word, but there's 7 steps in those intercept map. And intercept 1 is when we're called to go insert ourselves in that, whatever that situation is based on the crime or something like that. The ultimate goal of this Lead program, quite frankly, is to be at intercept 0.
Right.
We find somebody, we hear about somebody. Nick alluded to it earlier. We had an individual, we still have an individual in south part of Wasco County. Is he engaged with Nick? Yes. But is he in the Lead program? No, not yet, but he's building that. But what I'm getting at is, like, hey, this dude here is having some problems. It sounds like he's got a little bit of law enforcement contact, or was going to have it. Call Nick. Nick goes out, reaches out, stuff like that. Calls go down,
Right.
So, I mean, we're capturing them at intercept 0. That's the whole idea, to keep them completely out of the criminal justice system if we can possibly do that. Now, there is that level of accountability, like I talked about. Sometimes they do get arrested, and sometimes they, but we're still there for them. I mean, it's not just because there's very few things that an individual can do once they're in the Lead program to get kicked out of the Lead program.
Okay.
It's I mean, what is it? They're not eligible if they commit certain felonies, and the other one is if they're transitioning through our community. So if they're going from one, say Multnomah County to Spokane County or whatever it is, those individuals don't qualify under our program. That's how the program's designed and written at the state level. We have to follow that, right? Okay. But those others, I mean, if they have a bad day and they go back on the heroin, or they reoffend, they don't even have to reoffend, quite frankly. They can, they may be clean and sober for 2 or 3 weeks or something and fall off the wagon, so to speak.
Right.
We use that term all the time, and guess what? Nick and Rebecca and whoever's involved in it, we're there to pick them back up. It's all right. I mean, we understand that. I mean, the average person? The average person, fails 9 times before they ever get successful treatment. We're not, just because you fail or think you don't. You're still there, and we're still there for you. Now, you have the right to choose to walk away from that.
Right.
And we don't want people to do that because we know that the services and the things that we're providing through this program are going to benefit them in the long run. And sometimes it takes them time to see that, and that's okay, but we're not walking away from them. We're not just going to kick them to the curb like some people want to do. Is like, oh, they're homeless and whatever, just, go take them out back and ignore them the rest of their lives until they die and, whatever. That's not how this works. It works from actual direct engagement and staying on it.
Right.
There's times, and Nick will tell you and Rebecca will tell you, there's some clients out there that it's every day. It's every day. It's like, let's go check on this person. Let's go check on this person, know, and some of those people come around, some of them don't. But you know what? We're always there for them. Right. That's what a lot of people, as long as the program's funded and these two people are on the ship, we're making it happen.
Rebecca and Nick do an amazing job
humanizing
people.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's like if Sheriff Magill and I walked into a homeless camp, like everyone would scatter. Like, oh my God, there's the sheriff or the DA right now. Someone's going to jail. Whereas Nick walks in and like that person's a person.
Right.
And that's some experience that Nick has that neither one of us could have.
Which spent a lot of time out there with them, and just like you said, humanizing people, communicating with them on their level. A lot of people don't want to engage; they don't even know who I am, so it could be 3-4 visits, with just saying what's up, before they actually say hi back. And
giving them some water, snacks.
Right, anything like that. I think that this program is absolutely amazing. I think that it has great potential. And just give us a chance, call and let's see what we can do, because there are a lot of resources out here, that we can try to get individuals to that they don't even know that they exist. So that's where it's at.
Perfect. Okay, let's hear that website again.
So it's leadcolumbiagorge.org.
All right, leadcolumbiagorge.org.
And just wanted to add just one more thing. So you mentioned this being a unique program, and it's really unique because we were one of the few areas in Oregon that actually decided to go this route with our 4002 money.
Yeah.
So if there's anybody out there listening to this that's not in Wasco or Hood River County, that's like what they heard, they're very interested in this, contact your local sheriff, contact your local DA, say like, this is what I think is better for our community. Than hiring another attorney with this money to prosecute drug crimes, because we could have taken this money, we could have hired another sheriff's deputy, we could have hired another deputy DA, but we went this route, and I would much rather have Rebecca and Nick out there than having another attorney in my office doing this.
Excellent.
And I'd like to elaborate that out of all of the counties that elected to do deflection, we're the only ones that have a consortium. So Hood River County has, Wasco County as their consortium on their deflection funding grant. Or their behavioral health grant, I should say specifically. And no others are doing that. So far, I think it works really, really well. And I would suggest that to any other rural counties in the state, that they work together.
Okay.
Your
Very
dollars
good.
go further.
Yes, they do. They go a lot further.
Excellent. Well, hey, I learned a lot today, and I bet our listeners did too. I want to thank all of you for coming in here today. And I'll give you one last chance. Is there something I didn't ask about, or something that I missed that folks should know about LEAD program or what you're doing?
I think I already added it.
He did it already. So
Yeah.
I can't think of anything other than just to say what I did, and reaffirm it. It does work.
Yeah. Well, it really sounds like a very proactive approach.
I think even you're never worse off coming into the program than you are. How do you word that? You're coming into the LEAD program will not make you worse off than you were before you came into. So we're never to be worse.
We're always better. It's
Always
a one-way street.
Yeah.
it's always better in some kind of way, even for people who don't come into the LEAD program.
Yeah. Well, excellent. Well, thank you all for all your hard work from both the prosecution side, the enforcement side, reaching out and getting in touch with our friends and neighbors. A lot of these folks grew up and live here in our communities, and I just appreciate the work you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. You got it.